guys, this is Teddy, and you're about to watch episode 12, aka our 1-year FIRESIDE-VERSARY. This started a little over a year ago with me, Jin Lee, Lidz 87 and 40, the Broadway Saiyan, just getting together to chat about DFFOO over a drink. And I'm so glad that it has gone this far, and we're so excited to keep it going. So thank you guys so much for your support for this episode. We talked about obviously a very exciting upcoming BT Plus era, and then we also went over some of the good that's happened this year, some of the bad, like with regards to DFFOO. So if you're interested in that, please please keep watching. There's timestamps in the description box below, courtesy of my fellow co-host Jin Lee. But huge thanks to all of you for watching and supporting us. We really, really appreciate it. And huge thanks to my fellow co-hosts. I have so much fun doing these with you, and excited to do some more. So hope you enjoy, and thank you for the support.
Hello, guys. We're going to hang out for a second. We're arguing here in the background. Rez is yelling at me because Lulu's getting her LD on the JP side. We got OP earlier.
Well, so the reason was I didn't realize that you couldn't hear us. And so when I said, like, Lidz, are you gemming Lulu? And then you said, I'm not sure. I was like, what?
Oh, shit. See, here's the problem. It's because I already have Shulk on JP. That's the problem. But screw it. It's Lulu.
Who cares? It's Lulu. It's Goth Waifu.
All right.
It's our girl.
Rez says, I don't give a damn. Pull.
I mean, if you want to make that like a full battle royale, then obviously, I mean, I wouldn't hold it back.
You gotta join JP. But Bahamut, appreciate this resub, fam. Thank you. But I don't know. Yeah, Rez, you got JP. We could pull battle there.
No, when she comes in global, we will pull battle.
Oh, hello. Hello, chat. Rolai. Hello, everybody.
Nice.
Welcome.
Great bigness.
We're just hanging out for a little bit before we actually get started. Again, Rez is yelling at us for Lulu's life, right? Lulu's goth waifu.
Yeah, Lulu is life. I'm so fucking excited.
Tuna finally got that burst plus. They took a little bit longer than I thought they would with her. I'm not gonna lie. So that'll be interesting.
Curious.
Gotta love that era. Gotta love that era. You just get your favorites burst upgrade for nothing.
Yeah.
No pooling or anything.
40, what are you curious about, fam?
I'm curious to see what kind of upgrades they're going to give to that burst effect. Because, I mean, Yuna's burst effect was already good.
Mm-hmm.
So now that she has BT+, I'm really, really curious to see what kind of upgrades it's going to get.
Yeah, especially.
But one of the biggest things is just being able to green her and having the burst effect longer too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm just excited for the damage output now with the crystal level 90 to her freaking EX. Freaking Belfour is gonna hit like a truck.
It's like the move you want to avoid nowadays, right? Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, but it's nice too because, like, I mean, if you're familiar with JP, do you guys anticipate like a new era popping up in JP already? Right, they're almost pretty much out of LDs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
they have to, otherwise the game will shut down.
No, I'll cry if that happens.
But what would they do though? Because I feel like Ultimate Weapons kind of just came out.
But I mean, Ultimate Weapons aren't gacha.
It's not gacha.
They're just
right?
just stat boosters. Yeah, and then so you got to get another weapon tier or ability that you got to pull for.
Maybe buff slot increases because you saw the changes they did to the buff icons. And
those are awesome
that too.
So.
They're really good at like taking the feedback and applying it. It just takes some time.
Yeah,
that'll be interesting. So, all right, we'll just give it another minute, and then we will go ahead and get started here, friends. Thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate
FIRESIDE-VERSARY.
I know.
I would build a fire in here, but I don't want to catch the entire house on fire. So just So
I wish we had a fireplace, but we don't.
Oh, they're okay. You just burn shit. I don't know. It's not all that hyped up to be.
It's good for like destroying evidence and things like that.
Jin, what have you been doing, man? Is that why you don't do a face reveal?
Yeah.
You don't want.
Where's the face reveal?
I'd be from my mafia home.
Lidz build a fire. All right, I'll be right back. Is it going to be a showcase video later? I don't think it's going to be tonight for JP. Usually just the OPOP, they just talk about, or they kind of like tease the units that are upcoming, but then the actual video trailers or reviews, they actually showed off her EX ability damage, but usually the trailers are a day or two before when they come out, depending on the unit.
I mean, like based on like what Mino translated from the video, it was like she doubles the brave amount of brave hits that somebody's ability does, which sounds kind of ridiculous. So if you got 5 hits, then her LD effect doubles it to 10.
Wait.
And then she has a burst effect that does the same thing, which stacks with herself, so she can triple her own brave hits or something like that. That sounds pretty ridiculous.
I'm gonna have to chase her because if I'm gemming for Lulu, Purse should be there. Their burst weapon. I have to get her all day.
Right.
Holy shit.
I mean,
yeah.
Right.
If her burst weapon is like can be abused that badly, then yeah, it sounds like a pretty ridiculous burst.
Costume is so cute too.
And they gave. That means they cannot give Prish a swimsuit costume. I mean, we should get credit for the seasonal costume suggestion.
I know, we really should.
Yeah.
But then, they can't give it to Prish and then not give it to Tifa. Whenever Tifa's burst comes, if she has like no swimsuit outfit, they are stupid. Number one, they just lost some money, and then number two, they gave it to Prish instead of Tifa. We would riot.
I think Jin's going into his rant already.
I mean, they gave
They gotta be smart. If they want money, Tifa's swimsuit outfit.
Stop giving them ideas.
Just take our money. We want to give our money.
Literally, oh my god, the amount of money that I would pay for swimsuit Tifa's skin.
Watch.
Oh, bless you, Teddy. Oh, bless you.
Oh,
after all this ranting, we're gonna get Steiner swimsuit. Watch.
Yes, Steiner Speedo. When make it happen. Oh jeez, that'd be funny as hell. All right, Teddy, you ready?
He's ready.
He's so ready. Confused. I think he's staring at us like, what the hell, guys? Come on, let's go.
He's so confused.
He does look confused.
He's terrified. He's like, what is going on?
Paper Steiner swimsuit outfit. Make it happen, Square. Make it happen. Halcyon. What's up? All right, let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, let's do this. All right, guys. So welcome back to our 12th episode of the Fireside Chat, a monthly podcast, and this is our anniversary. Guys, we've been doing this for a freaking year. Are you guys excited? Are you guys tired?
Happy Fireside-versary.
Right?
Heck yeah.
Have we been doing this for far too long? Like, that's enough of this crap and just move on to the next thing? I don't know how you guys feel about that. But thank you guys for joining us on our 12th episode. If my fellow hosts would please introduce themselves so the viewers can know, if they haven't seen you before, who you are.
What's up, guys? 40 the Broadway Saiyan, the former godfather of the DFFOO community, because Jin's the godfather now. You guys can catch me on Discord as well as Twitch. No YouTube, as you guys know, for the time being. I am currently drinking to celebrate the 1-year anniversary, a Gentleman Jack, and I'm actually going to take this fat shot right here because we're not only. I just want to say we're not only celebrating. We're not only celebrating 1-year anniversary, but I also want to wish Rez and Hal a belated happy birthday. So this is for you guys.
Happy birthday!
Cheers!
Woo. Thank you. That's very nice of you.
I'm gonna chase it down with a White Claw too.
Yes, double fist it.
Nice. No.
But yeah, that's who I am, guys. Rez.
Well, thank you so much for the birthday wishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Rez. I know. I love it. I love it. You can find me on YouTube, Twitch, and Discord. And yeah, it was my birthday. It was my 29th birthday on Sunday. It was Halcyon's birthday last Monday. So we've just been doing lots of birthday stuff recently. And it wasn't Teddy's birthday, but he's still the best bear.
All right, and I am Jin Lee. I am the current Godfather, and the former Godfather is now on my enemies list because I didn't get a belated birthday wish, you know.
Uh-oh.
When was your birthday?
I'm just kidding.
Too long ago.
It was the beginning of September, but I'm not important.
Oh.
But I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, and yeah, happy to be here for our anniversary. It's 11 more episodes than I thought we were gonna do. So, cheers!
Wow.
So you didn't think we were gonna make
it? True, isn't it? No, it was just because we thought it was a one-time thing. You did also, Rez, but it's all good.
I did.
Wait, you did?
Lies.
I didn't think it was a one-time thing.
You thought the Fireside, the first episode we were gonna do more than one episode.
Yeah. I got
Jin. Hey, I have receipts. Okay, no, but I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm really happy that we did this, and yeah, happy to be here with you guys and celebrate it.
What the hell?
No, nothing.
Oh jeez. Oh boy. Well,
that was supposed to be a good thing. I mean, obviously, I'm very happy that we did 11 more episodes, and we're currently doing it. So, yeah, very happy about that.
Okay, I am Lidz87, and I, for one, am learning about all this stuff for the very first time. So I'm glad for the faith in the podcast. Thanks, Rez and Jin, and I do hope that we do continue this on for at least another year until we move on to like My Little Pony Gotcha or something along the lines of that. But I am a fellow content creator on YouTube and Twitch. All right, friends. So for those of you joining us for the very first time, this is a monthly podcast where four friends just get together, have some drinks, and talk about opera omnia. Now, since our very last podcast last month, how have you guys, how did the previous month for you guys go? Just a reminder, some of the units that we did get was like Tuna with her LD and Burst. We got Agris LD, Yuffie LD, Barrett, the best gunner LD, X-Death LD, and Burst Zell's LD, 40's favorite. And of course, we had the whole APMHAU things. Jin, hold on to your rant for now. Rez, how was your luck in the past month?
It was very up and down. I did a Yuna cosplay for Yuna's LD and Burst release, which was awesome. We had a fundraiser for a Lebanese nonprofit, and we reached our goal in like the first 15 minutes, which was amazing. So thank you guys who showed up for that. And I was rewarded by getting Yuna's LD in 5K, which was awesome. What wasn't awesome was then pull battling Jin and having to pity Agrias LD with no Uniburst. We've all done it. It happens. It's just never fun, especially when Jin luck-sacks the LD and then luck-sacks the burst on the later banner. Ended up spending 300 tickets unsuccessfully for Yuffie LD. I completely skipped Barrett as a result. I was supposed to completely skip all of X-Death's banners. I ended up spending like 100 tickets on X-Death's LD banner over the course of like a few days, and I did end up getting his LD at like ticket 100, which was great because APMHAU came out and I gemmed that banner. I pitied her LD, but I did get 3 X-Death bursts along the way, so definitely better than the Agrias LD banner. So yeah, glad I ended up getting his LD. He's somebody that I had wanted to gem like way back in the day because of his synergy with Terra, but then I like adjusted my plans accordingly. So I'm really glad I did end up getting him in the end, but that was my last month. So, oh yeah. And Setzer, I did like 300 tickets unsuccessfully and then switched to gems, did 60K, and I got 11 non-Setzer LDs before getting Setzer LD, which was not fun. Yeah. So, Jin, conversely, how was your luck?
I mean, usually when Rez has bad luck, I mean, that means I have good luck. So, yeah, I can't complain about this month's pools. I was able to get Yuna's burst, which was huge because that was the one I was going to burst token on pretty much the best pool I've ever had. I've never had a burst and the targeted LD in the same. I don't even know if I've had any LD in the same pool with the burst before, but yeah. That was pretty much my best pool ever. And then it goes into X-Death, who I didn't care about, but somehow he blessed me with, and I also had a first time getting multiple ticket BTs on the same banner. So yeah, I did have to chase his LD after that for like almost 500 tickets. But otherwise, yeah, everything was pretty good. And happy with how it goes. So hopefully Burst Plus is not terrible. Hopefully yours went just as well, 40.
Actually, this month has been really good to me. So,
Nice.
let's see here. So Yuna, I planned on tokening her, and I tokened her right away for the burst. And the LD, I got that in 110 tickets, which is not bad. Agrius, for once, wasn't mean to me, because if you guys know, Agrius has memed me so hard in every single banner she's come out on with her EX. But this time, I got it in 2 multis, so that was amazing.
Nice.
Yuffie came out in 80 tickets. Barrett, I skipped. Don't care. X-Death, I was gonna skip, but then when I saw the Lion banner, I was like, you know what? You know how you get that trigger pull figure where you're like, man, I gotta pull just for the heck of it. So I did 17 tickets, and on the Lion banner, I got X-Death's burst, and I was like, well, okay. So can I go back to the banner with X-Death's LD because I don't have it, and in 2 multis, I get the LD. Nice. And then on Zell's banner, I streamed this. So I spent 9 multis on Zell's banner. I got Zell's LD and 3 X-Death BT dupes. You guys can check it out. That was insane. And then the APMHAU early, I did 6 multis. I got APMHAU's LD, and I got another X-Death burst dupe. So this month has been insane. Like, it's been legit insane for me. I was like, whoa. So I'm kind of afraid because going into Burst Plus, I'm like, man, is my luck gonna like turn around now? Because you know, this month has been actually really good to me. So that's how my pulls went for this month. Lidz, let us know. How are your pulls? Did you luck sack super hard?
That was fire, bro.
I mean, it's hard to follow up those luck sacks.
Yeah.
I think I might have had the worst luck here because I'm pretty. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty damn sure I pitied freaking Barrett's LDs so that I ended up tokening Yuna's burst weapon.
Ouch.
Barrett,
I feel you, Liz. I tokened her burst too.
But I mean, that's why we have the burst tokens there, right? Yeah. So luckily that went well. Agrius actually went well for me. I tickets got her. I don't remember the amount. I was gonna skip on Yuffie, but the Final Fantasy VII in me and my chat yelling at me was like, "You gotta pull for Yuffie." So I went for Yuffie. Was blessed with her LD also, probably like around 200 tickets. X-Death, I had his LD from before, so I didn't necessarily chase for him. Zell I was going to skip, but due to some, I don't know what they ended up due to Pandemonium almost being here, we're going to get an abundant resources. I had some tickets to do so. I'm like, you know what, let me spend 100 tickets, and I got Zell's LD, which is fine because he returns later down the line with the Crystal level 90, so there's longevity with him. And I kept thinking of 40, that you've always loved Zell, OP since back in the freaking day. And I have yet to chase on one of the banners that they moved up, APMHAU, which, hold your horses, Jin. Time out. Not yet, fam. Jin is ready, but, because I was... So APMHAU I haven't chased quite yet, but I'm kind of tempted because I don't know how it's going to be in terms... I mean, we have units like Core. So how will they interact together when it comes to Lufenia Plus content? Are they going to work together? That's just some testing that we're going to have to try out. And if that, is a thing, I don't want to essentially miss out on that potential combo. That being said, I'm going to pass this over to Jin Lee because I would love to ask Jin Lee, how do you feel about this change with the APMHAU banner being moved up? Those of you not familiar, APMHAU got released, her banner got released about 2 weeks in advance. It should have been during Lufenia Plus, at least on the JP side of the game, okay? I have to throw that out there. It was released during the JP side of the game. In between, what was it, like around Sid Reign? So Zidane's burst weapon was on there. Jin, let her rip, fam.
All right, yeah. So I did feel that I should voice this because I might be. I don't know if not many people have actually voiced it or don't have an issue as much or something. But I do have an issue with the early APMHAU LD, so just bear with me for a small mini rant because, and obviously none of this is aimed at Josh or Crystal, but I did feel that it's similar to the Setzer banner change. Definitely not nearly as bad, and she's not as hyped of a character. So, but I still felt like it was pretty slimy and it felt greedy. Because it's too obvious that the thinking process from Square here was like, oh, everyone is hyped for Setzer, let's delay him and remove the burst because they'll pull anyways. and then everyone is skipping Vivi. Let's just move up APMHAU by 2 weeks so they'll have to pool now if they want her, and then that makes her no longer in the burst plus cycle, and so this makes people waste more resources. It just feels like overall too slimy, and there are so many ways to make changes that don't require downgrading a banner like so much like that. And I just want to say, like, it's not about like, Foresight is ruined, change is bad, or the GL players are entitled or something. I personally welcome change. It makes GL a bit more interesting, makes it more exciting. But changes, don't have to have like a kind of slimy feeling to it. Like GL first, they benefit both the players and Square, but like objectively, like no burst on the sense of banner is awful. Objectively, Zidane burst plus is much better to have than X Death burst. Like Res Foyna could be, and 40 could have a bunch of Zidane bursts. You'd rather have that than X's burst. More, at least objectively. I don't know about like preferences, but then she just time traveled just like 2 events earlier just to be removed from the burst plus era, just to get people to pool on the X Death cycle. So yeah, it's not like about like, oh no, the poor hoarder's plans are ruined. That kind of train of thought kind of bothers me. Like, I'll be fine, and I'm happy to use, like, I blued her, I'll be happy to use her earlier. And like, people who save and plan like myself are actually the most able to adapt. And of course, I do prefer to use my resources most efficiently, obviously, but it actually affects much more the majority of people for the worse, because they're the ones who actually need to use their resources efficiently the most. Because maybe people don't realize it, or they don't know that they're being taken advantage of, or they don't care about APMHAU or Cesar to begin with, but it could affect another seasonal banner in the future that you actually care about, like maybe Zach. So it just feels slimy that these changes were intended to just suck out resources, more resources from players. And if they keep clearly downgrading banners like that, I feel like we shouldn't be like, oh, whatever, that's fine, changes are fine. Changes are fine, but the tactics in the way that they're done aren't, which to their credit, like DFFOO generally doesn't feel slimy at all, which is why these two kind of things kind of caught me off guard. So I'm just kind of putting it out there so that hopefully they don't continue this path too much, because let's just say like people who don't have too many resources or just started recently with the game, these are like 2 amazing banners that I would have recommended they pull on, but they missed it purely because of like greed. Setzer with Titus Burst, APMHAU with Tifa LD, and Zidane Burst Plus. These would have been like very, very efficient and good banners for those people to pull on. It doesn't affect me as much. I have Tifa, obviously. I can get Zidane from his other banners. But those would have been very, very good and efficient uses of resources for people that need to save their resources. And a banner I would have recommended to plenty of players, but they were both just downgraded just for that reason, like just so that Square can make us pool more. So yeah, that's kind of why I had an issue with it, because I don't want them to continue like switching up seasonal banners just under the guise of like, forecast is never, like foresight is never guaranteed. I mean, of course it's not. It's fine. More changes is fine. It's just there are so many ways that you can make changes that don't objectively downgrade a banner. And so, because they can clearly make whatever banner they want, it's actually more effort for them to move up APMHAU, change around a banner and synergy. And we can pretend like there doesn't exist a JP version, but obviously there does. And so it's not really entitled for GL to expect like a game that is 7 months behind its predecessor to actually have improvements. So yeah, and we don't get like all those exciting like new toys every week. So GL firsts are kind of necessary, and everything just in general they do a good job. I don't want to say that they do a poor job, but this is just why this is my main issue with these kinds of changes that they've done to these seasonal banners. It's not whether I had good luck on APMHAU Ancestor, but I just don't like the idea behind how they've changed the seasonal banners under the guise of like, foresight's not guaranteed, but let's make people waste more resources. That's just kind of my issue with it all. But that's all I'm saying. Overall, great game. GL does a good job generally. That's the end of my rant. But yeah, I would like to hear what you guys think. Like maybe you, Lidz, or 40, like who weren't as upset or anything about that.
40, dude.
Lidz, do you want to take this,
Oh,
or
shit.
do you
Okay.
want me to?
I'll probably start off because so I definitely see your points. I've always been, and I've always liked when they try to make positive changes in the game. This one I guess I wasn't as heavily influenced by it, but only because I wasn't really necessarily planning to go too crazy for APMHAU. I could see in terms of changing the banner, potentially switching up a player's plans, especially if you're a new player. Because as content creators, or if they reach out for advice, we're like, hey, who should I plan for? Who should I save up my resources for? Like, oh, there's this, banner coming up. You should pull for so-and-so. And then guess what? Some of those plans change. So now that viewer, especially, if they're a newer player or they're really hurting on resources, that is going to affect their own personal plans. Now, what happened with Setzer, that one, I'm probably more upset about it because I guess it would fall into the same category that players were planning for APMHAU, because I was one of those players that was really planning to chase on that banner for Tide Pods' burst weapon on there, because we all know that freaking Setzer was OP with his LD, still is very Lufeni plus viable, I would say a staple in a lot of team compositions. A requirement, no, but he could definitely help you out, and just having Tidus being able to chase his burst weapon on there, that kind of threw a wrench in my plans. I had to use more resources than what I initially planned to do so, because I think I chased him on a different banner, or I don't remember if I used burst tokens or gems, but regardless, it's just extra resources that I had to end up spending because of said change. Now, APMHAU being moved up ahead, she did replace Deuce, and I was like, come on, let's be real. Like, who was excited for Deuce? I would think that was a better replacement for Deuce, because in my opinion, APMHAU is Lufenia plus viable, because on JP she was released during the Lufenia plus era. But again, if you're a planner, you were planning for Zidane burst, guess what? You now ended up with freaking possibly X-Death burst instead of Zidane.
Let me address some of the chat. Like, they're saying like, I agree with your points, Lidz, and but like chat is saying like Deuce is an upgrade. I mean, APMHAU is an upgrade to Deuce. Okay, yeah, obviously, yes. But I'm talking about like APMHAU is now the featured banner. It was VV before, and they changed it so that we would pull on VV's banner. That's the greedy move. Everyone was mostly skipping that banner, and then they changed it so that we would have to pull on it or possibly pull on it. And this became APMHAU's banner now. This is now APMHAU's banner. It's not VV's banner anymore. And APMHAU's banner is much better the way it was before. Right. Burst Plus is objectively better than X-Death Burst. Tifa LD is objectively better. It's just like APMHAU's banner got downgraded. Obviously, VV's banner got upgraded. But everyone...
He's such a good boy. Look at what a good boy he is.
But they changed it so that people would pull on the banner, and that's my issue. And so they made it like, if they delayed APMHAU because of seasonal issues, that's fine. Like, put it with Ace Burst Plus, it would have been fine. Zidane Burst Plus would have been fine, obviously. They could easily keep it in the Burst Plus era the way it was before, but they changed it. So I'm saying like they objectively downgraded APMHAU's banner, and just so that people will pull more on the X-Death cycle. So that's my issue mostly. So if they did that like with further seasonal issues, they need to like at least think about how they're changing banners, for these seasonal banners, like more for, I think, the player base rather than their back pockets, so to speak. That's my issue. That's all.
40. How do you feel about?
I mean, from a business standpoint, I can see why they did this, because Square effectively probably knows that when VV Global First LD was announced, they're like, oh, this is a new toy that not even JP has. That a majority of the community is going to be pulling on this LD. It's powerful, it's super early, and it's going to give you a lot of value. So I can see where Jin is coming from, where yes, APMHAU is an upgrade from Deuce, but it also kind of devalues the original banner that she was supposed to be on, especially for players who are a bit more conservative with their resources, where like for example, for me, if I was a global player that had all the foresight and I knew what I was going to be planning for, and I don't wail on the game, and I'm like, you know what, I'm definitely going for APMHAU LD because I know Tifa LD is on there, I know Zidane Burst is on there, which also has a Burst Plus upgrade. I would be planning for that and Sid Reigns, because they go really well together. But to change it in that way with all the other GL first that we got, I do see where Jin is coming from with this, where if you look at it objectively, it does devalue it a little bit, and it does kind of make it look like, oh, well, they knew that most people, per the foresight and per like looking into the future and seeing where, you know, certain things are supposed to come out, they're probably not going to pull on this. So how about we just change it up a little bit? I do see where he's coming from now, because the first time that I saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, APMHAU LD replacing Deuce LD. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, who uses Deuce nowadays? You know, I know there's probably some Deuce fans out there that I probably upset. I'm sorry, not my intention, but who uses her? Like, who uses Deuce? Like, if I had a choice between Deuce and APMHAU, I'll use APMHAU. You know, APMHAU has a lot of tricks up her sleeve. You know, takes a little bit of you know, finesse to play, but like, she's super fun to like pair up with a lot of different characters, and you could get some really crazy value out of her. So when I first saw it, I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool that they did this. But you know, now that I see where Jin is coming from and kind of looking at it objectively, I do see, you know, kind of the negatives of changing up these seasonal banners like this, where you put them on, you bring them early and kind of replace another LD on there, but then, like, let's say, like, for example, the rest of the banner is kind of just like, well, I already have that, or I could care less. You know, for example, like VVLD, most everybody probably already had him from the global first. So I see where you're coming from this, and I understand now, you know, why this is pretty upsetting. That's my take on it, and you know, it is what it is. I do think that that maybe they should kind of take a look at, you know, the player feedback and kind of like understand, like, you know, where players are coming from with like the things that they're talking about this, you know, when it comes to like, you know, kind of the issues that they have releasing some of this stuff early, or like changing things up without really giving any kind of announcement and things like that. But yeah,
right,
that's my take on it.
Right, like my main point I addressed in chat is like, changes are fine. That is not my problem here. Changes are fine, but when you change something, you have to think about like how you're doing it. You can't just change a burst plus to a burst, and you can't just remove a burst. That's like, if as long as like APMHAU, you could delay Vivi's banner right into the burst plus era. You know, you could have had her with Ace burst plus. You could have delayed her if you need to. So same thing with Zac. I assume they won't mess up Zac. They can't possibly have no burst plus with him. We're in the burst era, and so he's in the burst plus era already. But or they might delay him forever. Who knows? To be honest with Zac right now, but I'm just saying, like, for any seasonal banner, change is fine. Change however you want to, except don't make it like a lateral change. Like, keep the value like at least somewhat equal. Don't completely objectively downgrade. Like, no one will think that a burst is better than a burst plus, and no one will think an LD is better than a burst. So yeah, those two obvious kind of cash grabs, because the change was made for us to not skip the VV banner. That's kind of how I saw it.
Russ, as someone who believes on return of investment, even if that's a thing here, I just threw it out there. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about these seasonal banner changes?
Mean, you all know me. I'm all about that ROI, and you know, we've all said many times the Setzer banner was a disaster. Personally, as somebody that got X Deaths first from the APMHAU banner 3 times, like I'm very happy to have gotten X Death first. Like, I've been having a lot of fun with him, and he was somebody that I was intending on skipping fully. But yeah, I think just like everybody else has said, the issue isn't that it was changed, it's that it, you know, literally if this had happened just at any other point in the burst plus era, like, you know, moving from Zidane to Ace banner or something like that, you know, that's something. But and of course, like we were saying, it's not like the reason why it was a downgrade banner, like a devalued banner, is because the original banner that APMHAU was on was a very high ROI banner. It was APMHAU, Tifa, and Zidane, all three of whom are excellent characters. Like, even as somebody that already had Tifa LD, obviously I was going to be gemming that banner. Like, I was going to be gemming the banner either way. Like, this didn't put a dent in my plans or anything. Like, it didn't, you know, screw over my resources. Like, planned for 75K, spent 75K. But, you know, when you move it to the X-Death banner, it like, yeah, of course it's an upgrade for the VV banner because nobody was going to be pulling on that banner. And honestly, I'm glad that I already pulled for VV because in those 75K, I didn't get either LD, and I would have been furious if I had to choose between the two. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, we all know why they did it. It's a gacha game. Like, they have to make money somehow. I'm not gonna fault them for that. But there are, like, you know, better ways to do the cash grabs, like giving us a swimsuit Tifa costume. Please, let's see that. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like, it didn't, you know, like, X-Death Burst, I'm having so much fun with it. I'm really glad that I got it, but objectively, yeah, it's a worse banner. It's a worse banner for APMHAU herself to be on. But those are, I think, all of our thoughts echo. Like, you know, I'm fine with changes happening. I think it makes it exciting. Like, we're not entitled to anything. And like Jin was saying, you know, those of us that like have a sufficient amount of resources, we plan like months and months in the future. This doesn't affect us too much, especially if it's a character that we were already planning on using resources on. But I feel for, like, you know, characters that, like, people that really were waiting for a very high value banner in like the APMHAU Tifa Zidane Burst banner. So those are my thoughts. Obviously way better than the Setzer disaster. I'm glad it had a burst. On it.
Yeah, that just shows how bad Setzer was.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I mean, again, nothing. Oh, we got a raid. J Plastics, appreciate the raid, fam. Hopefully you had a good stream. Welcome. Now, again, this is all nothing but positive feedbacks. You know, this is a great community. We love the community we're in. 40 is making faces. I don't know what's going on with Pulpo. I don't know if there's a side story with this, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Want Pulpo.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out at some point. But that being said, all right, we said our what we had to say about the APMHAU banner. We said our piece. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. And we're just going to touch upon some of the stuff that was mentioned during the community live stream. And one of the main things, quality of life changes that they actually like to talk at when they start off the streams. There's actually two main ones. There is going to be the Autosell function, which means during the banner pulls. Oh, I heard Rez. Obviously, she's excited about this. So if you're not familiar with what this is going to do, this will automatically sell, if you have it set up in the options, to sell your 3 and 4 star equipment. So if you have yet to max out your 4 star equipment, because there are some useful passives here and there, right? Like attack up for some of these characters or max brave up. So, but once you set the option to sell, they will automatically sell them. So no longer will 40 be on his Twitch stream pulling lots of gems on a banner and then having to go into the inventory to sell all that. Yes, exactly. Speaking of selling equipment in the inventory, another quality of life change that we got, they increased the capacity to sell from 30 to 40. Now, 40, I have to ask you this. Wouldn't this have been much more useful back in the day when we had all the wonderful co-ops and we had like an abundance of artifacts in our freaking inventory to sell?
Yes. I mean, it's cool that we got this now, but I mean, yes, that would have been nice. To get isn't
it kind of ironic? They give us the fix that we needed when we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, it's just kind of like I guess. I mean, it's nice that we finally got it, but I feel like, I mean, like, because seeing as we've gotten a lot of quality of lives that JP had earlier, this would have been nice to also bring a little bit earlier than it was intended to come out. But I mean, at least we have it now. At least we finally have it now.
Totally.
I don't know, Jin, what do you think?
I mean, I think you said 40, Lidz, but it's actually 50.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking about 40 passing it to 40, my bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it happens. I'll be thinking about one thing and then another, so like I'll say something different, but yeah, it happens all the damn time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, these are great quality of lives. I love when GL like gives us things early. But if we got the 50, then that would have been great. Like earlier when we didn't have the Autosell, because when we didn't have the Autosell, we needed the 50. But now we have the Autosell, we don't need the 50 anymore. But it's still nice, I guess, if you like need to sell 50 Power Stones or something.
Raz, how long were you sitting there just selling artifacts back in the day?
Oh my god, yeah, that was the biggest reason why I maxed out my capacity. But what I wanted to say is, who here is so OG that they remember when we could only use like 30 power orbs at a time to max out gear?
Oh god.
Oh yeah, that was
Stop
awful.
it.
That's true.
Stop
what
it.
Oh my god, I never want to think about that again. For those that like came in after that, you know how like using a whole bunch of power orbs to level up a weapon or something just counts as one item. Back in the day, it was like you could use 30 power orbs at a time. Confirm. Next 30 power orbs at a time. Confirm. Oh my god, I never want to go back to that. But very excited for Autosell 3 and 4-star. The only time I can now see myself using like the cell capacity increase to 50 is when I have those like disaster banners where I end up getting a shit ton of power stones. But I can't even use like the Autosell 5-star passive acquired, because I need to easily see what I got so I can do my final tallies at the end of my poll. But yeah, overall, really excited that we're getting it. You know, it'll definitely be more beneficial for some more than others, but we always love our quality of life updates.
For sure, Jin. How about yourself, Fam? How do you feel about the 5th? Oh wait, you already said your piece. Never mind.
I did say my piece.
Excuse me here. So another quality of life change, and this one is kind of interesting because I believe this is a global first, is you will be receiving notifications for co-ops now. All right, so apparently you're gonna get like some kind of like sound when either you join a co-op or someone joins your co-op, and there is going to be like a vibration alert. I think during the co-op, if I remember correctly, it will notify you when it's your turn, right? So Jin, how do you feel about that type of change in Opera Omnia for co-ops?
I mean, it's really good for people that do random runs, because some people just kind of go AFK and then you're just like sitting there waiting forever. I haven't done a random run in a long time now, but the person I do run co-ops with would probably enjoy that, since I do go AFK sometimes as well.
Literally, when I just announced, I messaged you on Discord with the eyes emoji. So Jin and I usually do co-ops. We usually do like daily co-ops or something, and sometimes I'll take a little while to join, and we always start our books at like the exact same time once the other person presses ready. But sometimes like Jin doesn't see that I've joined, and I'm like spamming stickers to let him know or something, and it'll be like 30 seconds of a wasted book. So I was very excited to see that update.
Yeah. Well, 40, how do your co-ops do? You just do co-ops on stream?
Yeah, or if I'm watching a show with my wife, I randomly will do co-ops. I think that's kind of helpful because usually I'm focused on the show, so I'll take it. I think it's a pretty cool upgrade. I mean, what am I watching? Like, we just finished Lucifer, and it would have been nice to have that, you know, so I wouldn't miss out on a scene or something in that show. Or
I like how they kept trolls in mind, though. They were like, "There's a delay." Josh said, "There's a delay," so they can't like spam the notification.
Interesting.
Yeah, Lidz, what do you think?
I think this probably benefits me the most, because as someone who works from home, and I will I work in front of my computer all day. My ass is in this chair, just freaking staring at my computer screens, and I try to just run random co-ops, and I just get pulled into work that I forget about my co-op. So that I love the change. It's gonna yell at me, right, to try to pay attention when it's my turn. So yeah. So I definitely will enjoy this. How about yourself, Rez, after, Jin takes his sweet time and forgets about the co-op?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hyped for that. It's not going to affect me too much because I usually do co-ops like at 3 a.m. or something. Halcyon's usually asleep, so I don't like to have the volume on, and I don't have the vibration on my phone on at night. So doesn't make a huge difference for me. But I'm glad that Jin will have notifications.
Yeah.
But
let's move on to the Burst Plus era then.
Yeah, more exciting stuff.
Agreed.
You know what, Jen? Take it away, fam. Take it away.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. Like, okay, so I mean, obviously we have Zidane, Ish coming, and then we have Ace and Bartz. So for me, I don't have nearly like really. I don't really have any faves in the early Burst Plus era. So it's hard for me to decide like who I really want to green. I might not even green anybody. I like to see like how I can do in the era with just no greens probably. But if I'm gonna green somebody, it would probably be Y'shtola just for waifu reasons, or Bartz, just because I like supports better than DPS. But there, you can't go. I think there's gonna be a lot of people asking questions about who should I green. I think that's always gonna be a question because that material is very low. So it's like I think Toneberry Troop like figured it out. Like it's like one green and a book per 1 green and a 0.3 per month or something like that. So, and some months you're gonna want to green multiple people if you have a stretch of faves. So, for me, this might be a time where I don't even green anybody. So we'll see. Who are you excited for the Lidz?
So I am very all right. So, guys, start of the Burst Plus era. It's gonna be very exciting times. Lefenia Plus. If you're not prepared, shit could possibly get hard. Okay, just try to be prepared. I am gonna switch things up on the global side of the game because on JP, now mind you, on JP I didn't have units like I know 40 had freaking unit with the costume, the burst weapon. He was ready for Lefenia Plus over there if I remember correctly because I would use his RANT support. I didn't have that, so I went with Zidane Burst Plus 3 out of 3. He was a great unit. He was definitely a great unit, but I'm going to switch that up on the global side of the game where I'm going to be going for Y'shtola. Y'shtola is a support type character, very useful, fits into more team compositions. And then after that, who do we have? So Bartz would be my second pick, but if we get some of them bundles, right, some of them Ultima ingot bundles possible, right, we do have the EX ingots and nugget or ingots and book bundles. If we get that for the burst weapons a little bit early, I'm considering Ace because Ace was, I did have him with his LD and just his burst, not burst plus, just base, and he's a great unit with his LD. He inflicts a debuff. It expires. There's a lot of off turn damage. It really increases your team's damage output because this debuff pretty much triggers at the end of every single turn except for burst mode. So it's very useful and it did help out with a lot of these stricter turn requirement Lefenia Plus stages. So Y'shtola, Bartz, possibly Ace, depending if we get a bundle or not. Rez, how about yourself?
So I don't have Y'shtola, LD, or Burst. I completely missed after like trying to spend 450 tickets on her LD banner, and then I pitied Sarah LD without her Burst. So I would love to have some Y'shtola luck, some Y'shtola LD Burst luck on her banner. If I don't get her though, then maybe Bartz, but I don't have like a fave burst coming out until Zaddy Vane. At which point I need to learn a little bit more about what like, you know, his burst, what all his stuff does. But I do love him, and he is definitely a contender for my first 3 out of 3. 40.
I'll add to I will add to what like Lidz was saying about like Ace. You know, like how he's just really good, so you're thinking about greening him, right? But isn't it like he's really good just like if you like 0-3 him also, so like isn't that like a good saving of resources to use like a really strong character just at 0-3 so you can save your materials for other characters that can benefit at 3-3 even more, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, right. If anything, for the ingot, so to feed it possibly into another.
You can just use him at his
yes
base, and he's really strong, and then you can save those ingots for faves. That's the issue, yeah. With it's the same with like blue armors. It's hard to decide, really, to be honest. If they're not a fave, I have to think about it for a long time. So, yeah. What are you gonna do, 40?
Oh yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What am I gonna do? So I got on JP. I got a lot of mileage out of fully green Zidane and fully greened Ace, especially Ace, which I will probably green Ace again. Like he really did a lot of work for me on the JP side of the game. Now, if you take a look at what Zidane and Y'shtola does with their burst effects, Zidane his is really good. And one of the gimmicks with it is that anytime, like, I think it's when a debuff is inflicted, he heals the party's HP based on his HP and also heals Brave. But the thing with Zidane is that as long as it lasts, it can run out really quickly because whenever he does when he does his LD, he like re-breaks and then deletes turns, and then he gets another free turn, and then he also has other commands where he could keep taking turns. So it's an effect that is great, but it could effectively run out unless you play him conservatively. But if you're playing Zidane, it's like, do you want to play him conservatively or do you want to be a bit more aggressive? So while they're both really good and there is no wrong or right choice, I think on global, I'm going to go with Y'shtola this time, just because I want to really experience the value of that brave gain that she's really able to give to your party. Random brings up a good point. Play for fun, exactly, because if you're not having fun and you're greening weapons that you don't care about, then, well, there's a problem here. But I think for now, my plans is Y'shtola. I'm definitely going to green, and then Ace. And then if they have the packs, I think I'm going to probably also do Bartz. But there is really no wrong or right choice in the beat and like who to BT plus. There are a bit lackluster BT pluses. I ain't gonna lie. One of them is Shantoto, which is unfortunate. I'm sorry, but Shantoto's BT plus sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. There are a few handful BT plus choices where you're just kind of like, I don't know if I really want that, but for the most part, they're all really good. BT plus era is very powerful, and there is no wrong or right choice. Just what I would really do is be like, all right, well, how do I want to play throughout the rest of this Lufenia Plus, and how do I want to team build with these different BT Plus effects? Which ones do I like better? That's what I would do, rather than asking, which one should I BT Plus? Because that question is it's really hard to answer that because, we don't know what your resources look like. We don't know what your roster looks like. We don't know how you like to play or what kind of play style you like better over the other, so... That's my take on it, and that's my plans.
You're gonna have to team build around her burst effect. Like, if you don't have units that can take advantage of Brave getting up, then there's no point in greening Y'shtola. And also, I would say that if you're greening 3 of the first 4 burst pluses, then you do have to take advantage of GL foresight and really see who you're gonna have to skip down the line, because obviously we cannot keep up like that amount of greens that quickly. So use foresight. If you're gonna green, ideally just try to keep 1 green per month, and don't green somebody if you plan to green 2 in the next month. That's my kind of thought process. Yeah. But we do get like a little over the once a month, but that's all we get unless you're buying, and that's if they're even selling it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can also think of it as like, for blue armor, it's like blue the person's armor who you're going to use a lot. Like, don't blue somebody's armor if you're not planning on using them a lot. But if it's a fave character that you're going to be using a ton, like I blued Terra's armor immediately, knowing that I'm going to be using her, that I have been using her, and I'm going to be using her in a bunch of fights. So I'm not nearly as well versed in like BT plus stuff, but that's always a good rule to play by. It's always a good rule to live by. It's like, invest in faves, invest in the characters you're going to use.
Yeah,
and people are probably going to want to blue armor their greens too, so you got to conserve your blue armors as well. Your blue armor materials.
Yeah, true. There's just it's really tough to pinpoint like, you know, how my hosts have been saying, the fellow hosts have been saying that it's really hard to suggest like who to green, because all of these characters, they're in the proper team compositions. They're great. They're fine, except Arden, but they're great. So all right, but that being said, 40, I do have one question for you. Okay, I want your honest opinion. How do you feel about Global not getting that ingot and book that JP did?
But they did get it. People were just impatient and were like, "Oh, they didn't mention it on stream.
Can you give
Let's rage."
Backstory to that, fam?
What happened?
So I caught the tail end of the stream, but after the Square Enix stream, so when they introduced the Burst Plus era in JP, they gave out a free book and a free ingot, because if you're going to introduce a new level of power, I mean, if you want to entice your players and like treat them well, give them the resources, right? But because they didn't announce it on stream, which, you know, nothing on Josh and Crystal, but when you're streaming live and you're presenting all this information, you're going to forget certain things, you know? And that's just how it is. Josh, I feel intentionally trolled. Well, maybe, but I'm going to give Josh the benefit of the doubt. He's a good guy, right? But, you know, you tend to forget certain things. But people legit didn't wait. They were just like, Global got shafted. They introduced BT Plus. We're not getting anything. They're doom posting. And I mean, Black Cloud made a video about it too. And I was just like, and then legit, like, I don't know how long it took, but like they tweeted out on the official Twitter. They're like, hey, this is what you guys are getting from the stream rewards. And lo and behold, one book, one ingot for Burst Plus was on there. It's like, wow, okay, you know, you guys could have just waited. You just take a breather, calm down, you know, wait for the official announcement. And then I was also seeing something about like, you know, well, on JP, we were able to green somebody right away. And I did a little investigating on that because I played JP, but I forgot about it. But on JP, they did a co-op campaign, which is part of Divine Pandemonium, where like, you know, the community would do a co-op. You guys get all these points, and then afterwards you get an additional burst ingot. So yes, you can green one of the burst weapons before the Lufenia Plus. Now, I have no reason. I don't see any reason why Square wouldn't give us that co-op. That wouldn't make any sense, because it wasn't tied to a seasonal event. It wasn't tied to any kind of anniversary. It was just tied to Divine Pandemonium. So, assuming Global's getting that, which I think they should, you should be able to green a character before even tackling the Lufenia Plus, provided that you do that co-op, and then we get the free book and the free ingot. And then let's not forget, there's that Twitter campaign too. So all I'm saying is just wait. If they forget to announce something, just wait. You know, it's not the end of the world. You know, they're not going to shaft Global. It was really silly that there was a whole Reddit thread where people were just overreacting. I'm just like, oh my, like, come on, guys. Let's give Square and all of them the benefit of the doubt here. You know what I mean? So I don't know, Jin. What do you think? What do you think about him? I don't know. Did you see the Reddit thread, Jin?
I mean, I've only heard it through TCC and Black Nero. Otherwise, I don't check Reddit, and I'm kind of glad I don't. But it is. I mean, it's kind of a general, like, we always seem to have these, like, anytime something does. I mean, I'm not part of that. This is like my APMHAU and Setzer issue is completely separated from like when we don't get 10 more tickets or something. I could care less about like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say like there's no reason to like start doom posting until like something is for sure. Like until you see like a Setzer banner with like no burst, then you can start like giving them some crap. But until you don't know anything, if you don't know anything, don't need to start making a big deal out of it. And plus, it's not like nobody needs any greens to do the first Lufenia Plus. I can tell you that. So, what do you think, Liz?
I had no doubt in my mind that we were not like getting them. I just knew that we were. I'm not one to typically. I mean, when it comes to resources like this, I don't think that, like you said, like Global would get shafted, right? I kind of knew that we were getting them. Why make a big fuss about it? Like, I'm not gonna lie though, I love seeing the whole threads about like people getting pissed off the trolls, because it gives us entertainment. Come on, let's be real. Like, there's plenty of times in my Discord where just my Discord members, we're just laughing at the of the trolls. and all the stuff that ends up like on freaking Reddit. And so, Rez, I'm gonna ask you how you feel about that, because I know for a fact, right? You were on Reddit posting your rage that we weren't getting the resources, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know any of this was happening because immediately after the stream ended, I went back to playing Tales of Arise for like 9 hours. So I had no idea any of this was going on. Halcyon can confirm. So I basically agree with all of you guys.
I mean that's.
But like I even remember like in the beginning of the EX Plus era, like the only people that could have a purple cloud were the ones that pulled Vincent and booked him. So it's not like it's also not a big deal if we can't like green them immediately anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean again, if for some reason they don't say something on a stream, like if you just go straight to Reddit, just wait until said thing happens, because it's a lot. It was a lot of information to cover, right? We got Burst Plus. Joshua explained the whole realization process. It was a lot to talk about. So if sometimes just things just get forgotten. So just give them a moment. They did what was it on Twitter where they confirmed that we were getting the books, right? The resources.
Mm-hmm.
So just give it a moment and just don't rage. All right, guys, before we jump over to the next part, I'm going to start this out with 40. Do you have any advice coming from a JP player, fellow JP player? Do you have any advice as we go into the Burst Plus era? It could be, resources, characters, any form of advice that you can offer.
Well, for one, don't be afraid of Lufenia Plus. I know that when Lufenia Plus first came out, there was a lot of doom posting and people saying like, oh, this is going to kill the game because this and these mechanics are here, that is here, you're going to need Burst Plus. Just objectively think about it and also do your research before you make those judgments, because one thing that a lot of GL players tend to forget is we have something called foresight, which is extremely powerful and can really help you be a bit more creative and kind of team build for these high difficulties, these Lufenia Plus difficulties. Lufenia Plus is not impossible without a Burst Plus. You technically don't need a Burst Plus to be able to do these early Lufenia Plus. I will still say that Chaos early was really horrible compared to early Lufenia Plus, because Chaos legit locked out like 90% of the cast. It was really, really bad. So what I really advise you guys to do, moving forward with Lufenia Plus, is do your research. All of the resources are out there for you. Talk to your fellow community. You could look up YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll look up YouTube videos myself of like some of the creative runs that are out there, just to see what's out there and what's actually been done. And also, if you guys are in Discords, either my Discord, Lidz's, Rez's, or even the TCC or whatnot, there are JP players there that have done really creative runs for some of these hard difficulties, and I just advise you guys, talk to those players and just be like, yo, what can I do? I don't know if I have all these resources enough to be able to pull for set or so Burst Plus character. Can you guys give me some advice? And you'll get the resources that you need and the advice that you need to be able to do these hard difficulty stages that are going to be coming up soon. And then last but not least, and Random was bringing this up in chat, so shout outs to Random, but just have fun, guys. Remember, this is just a game. If you can't do something and you don't have the resources to do so and you can't afford to like buy gems, have fun. It's still just a game. This is meant to bring people together, and it's meant for us to just have fun and enjoy these characters that we all grew up with for God knows for how long. You know what I mean? So just have fun. That's the best advice that I could give entering this new era for the game.
Yeah, don't think you need synergy to clear things. That's generally kind of what I've been trying to do with my channel. Just like show like, okay, all of these are just easily doable without synergy. And I want to give a shout out to Macnol's Call to Arms. That has tons of skilled players. They post all their teams with the video runs to go along with it. So somewhere along those lines, you just have to give it like maybe a couple days for runs to be recorded. But otherwise, there's going to be a team on there that you have that you can just follow the video for. So especially for like if you're struggling, just wait a little bit. There's plenty of skilled players that upload their runs to YouTube. And you're not going to have to pull to clear everything. It's not a pay to win game. Very far from it, from what I see. So Rez, what's your advice?
Oh God, don't.
Think about it as return of investment. That's your main thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, think about that ROI. I mean, plan ahead, plan your resources. Everybody asks us a lot of the time, like, how did you get this many gems? How did you get? Well, they never ask me how did you get this many tickets, because I never. But I do often get asked, like, how do you get this many gems? Do you will? And like, DFFOO is my cheapest gacha by far. I only get costumes for characters that I've maxed and for characters that I love, where I actually like the costume. And then I get the premium Mog Pass. But other than that, it's just been like a long road of discipline. I used to mix. I used to like just to throw gems around on each banner. It's I've had some stretches of good luck. I've had some stretches of really bad luck, just like anybody else. So my recommendation going into BT Plus era is like, keep sticking to your pull plans. If you're gonna only use gems if you anticipate pitying, because otherwise, like Jin has always said, if you use 10k gems just to like try out a banner, that's like 10k gems that you could have spent towards a pity on another one. And this is coming from somebody that's gotten a lot of EXs in the EX era from YOLO multis. Like, I have way more gems now than I ever did in like EX era and stuff. So I need to take my own advice when it comes to tickets. Just be smart about your pulls. Don't get FOMO. I'm terrible at not getting FOMO. Yeah.
FOMO is big. I can imagine seeing people just green like Zidane, even though they don't care about Zidane, just because they see everyone else having green Zidanes,
Right.
Yeah, just don't
fall victim to FOMO.
Yeah, just take some time.
I definitely agreed. For sure. I know 40 mentioned it. Like, a big source, YouTube. Go to YouTube. JP. My usual go-tos are like VL or Stimpy. They get like creative with their team comps. Black Nero, who's also another JP content creator who does runs too, and I have a great feeling. I know that the global player base are going to be experimenting a little bit more when it comes to team compositions for Lufenia Plus. So if you can't do it literally within the first hour, just wait a few days. As Jin mentioned, Macnolls, right? Just wait, see what team comps are posted to see if you can do it without chasing a specific unit. And if it is tough for you, if you're a little bit of a newer player, you may struggle because you don't have as many units. I mean, you have the resources because you farm all the stories and lost chapters, but I mean, if you can't do it right away, especially if it's permanent content, just wait. You can always come back and stomp it later down the line with characters like that are already in the Crystal level 90 era. Just let it sit there. Save those resources for a later point. All right, friends. So that is my own personal advice. And if all else fail, buy that ingot bundle. Open up that wallet. Hey, I'm just kidding. JK, don't do that. Feel free to play. Anywho, all right, guys. So now we're at the tail portion of this stream, and we did want to actually, kind of for our first year anniversary, kind of reflect on the past in Opera Omnia. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them now. My fellow host, if you guys see something, be sure to pull that ahead and throw it into our own personal Google Doc. So one of the very first things that we want to reflect upon is any regrets to date that we have had in Opera Omnia. Rez is laughing, so you're going to start it off.
Oh God, what regrets don't I have? I have so many banners that I regret spending on. Like, I mean, are we reflecting on the past or like just this last year?
Just whatever you can think of, whatever pops to mind.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just like lack of self-control, like going way back in on banners that I should not have gone in on, like spending 300 tickets on Noel just because I'm dumb. Like, I don't give a fuck about Noel. So That is my regret, is just having lack of self-control and not being able to stop when I know when I should have. I have a lot of banners that I regret having pulled on.
40, how about yourself, fam? Is there anything you regret in Opera Omnia?
I mean, I know I've had pulls where I've spent way more than I should have, and then regretted it because I hardly used the character. It's just I don't remember exactly what I regretted on pulling on, like which character it was. But there were moments that I did, it's that itchy pull finger where you're like, I know I'm supposed to save resources, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And then I ended up regretting it because I ended up kept going, and then I ended up pitying. What I will say though is, even though I don't have time for it, I do miss doing YouTube. Not gonna lie, I do miss it. That is something that it's not a regret, but it's just something that I do really miss doing. I do wish that I had time for it.
Everyone's regret.
Yeah.
We regret not having 40 anymore on YouTube.
Yes.
Oh, family, bro. Family is important. All right. I'm gonna throw that out there. Family is important, bro. Focus on your family. You got a beautiful family. They always come first.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Jin, how about yourself, fam?
I mean, along the same lines as 40, my regret isn't really with the game, because I mean, gacha is gonna be bad sometimes, it's gonna be good sometimes, but generally I'm pulling on what I want anyways, so it is what it is. But my lack of time to do content is kind of like, I wish I had more time to do content like 40, because like before, like when I was like quarantined, I could do like how to plays and all these units, and like now I can barely even do them, or because they take a lot of time, and I wish that I could be able to contribute more in that sense of content creation, do more commentary runs, etc. But it's just it's just not possible currently, and I do wish that hopefully I can do some in the future more at least. But yeah, Lidz is pumping out those videos though.
I'm trying. I know someone asked a question about the difficulty. We're going to circle back to that later. I've been a little bit bored on both sides of the game. I'm not going to lie. So I missed out a few videos. But but for me, possible regret is playing the JP side of the game, right? Having that future foresight. I do regret not experimenting more with global, right? Because, being like already doing some of this stuff on JP, like seeing what other players have done, like I know what players have used for said content. So when I take on said Lufenia or said content, I just use the go-to team composition. So that kind of leaves out a little bit more experimenting for me. You're just playing around, having a little bit more fun with the game. So if anything, that is probably one of my regrets. I'm hoping that I can address that as we progress into the Lufenia Plus era, especially now that we have units like Core or some of these global first. But yeah, that would be one of my regrets. Now, the next thing that is on here is any changes Square Enix did that you absolutely enjoyed. I'm going to pass this one over to Jin Lee.
I mean, yeah, I would say overall, since I only played the GL version of the game, I do like the way that they improved GL. Generally, over JP, they would give us early quality of life. The GL first, especially Vincent and Sarah, I really love that they brought those two. Vincent was very controversial, which was funny to me. He was my most downvoted how to play video ever, but I really loved him, and I was able to show that he was actually really good, and Sarah obviously was fantastic as well. And I was going to pity her and have a kind of a sad shell of a character that I would have to use, but then they souped her up. That was really awesome. And then last but not least, but like early, I saw someone mention in chat, and I actually had this noted down already, but early health bars, like the notification of the percentage of health on those enemies, really helped, just made our runs in GL just so much simpler. When you're not guessing when they're gonna change into their thresholds, since thresholds are a very, very big thing in Lufenia. So it really helped us out in that. So I really am glad with the GL version of the game and how they implemented early quality of life and GL first. That really helped us out. And so, what do you think, Rez, being another GL player only?
Yeah, I mean, I loved Balthier. I loved Vivi. I loved Vincent. Like, really loved Core. You know, all the standard global first stuff that we got. Obviously, also loved the HP bar changes. But something I really loved that we got that I was not expecting was being able to like see how many turns left you have of a specific buff. Like I remember when Joshua announced that QL and he was like, you know, when you click in and you see and you're trying to count down the specific buffs and the turn counts, like that's absolutely me. So that was a really big time saver for me. Obviously the HP bar one is like huge for strategy and stuff, but in terms of just like, you know, nice little quality of life, that was I really enjoyed that. 40, what about you?
I think my top two like things that I really enjoyed that they brought in was the health bars, especially when we got the dreaded three Lufenias that were there was definitely a lot of doom posting and a lot of like, oh, you guys better be ready. Yeah, the Sephiroth Lufenia, the Reno Lufenia, and also what was it, the Kirin Lufenia. Getting those health bars early is a super blessing because if you played it on JP, you had to guess when they were at the thresholds before they did something like nasty where you're like, okay, well, now what do I do? Right. So the health bars, definitely, I really, really appreciated those. And then character wise, I appreciated Sarah's upgrade because Sarah was a meme. Sarah was a total meme with her LD release on JP initially. And shoot, I memed on her too with my video. And seeing what they gave her, you know, looking at the feedback that they got, you know, from players, you know, saying like, hey, like, why is this character so trash even with an LD release? You know, like, can you guys do something about this? Like, this is terrible, you know? And then they actually did something about that. I thought that was really cool because they're listening to the community, they're looking at the feedback, and you know, even from another version of the game, and that they're translating it over to global. So that was something that I really think where they really went above and beyond. And I mean, let's not forget all the global first characters and all that stuff. Like, you know, that's great and all, and I love that too. But like, that's where I really saw like they really listen. Like, I felt like, you know, character wise, they listened to the player base, and it was really cool to see them do that for especially a character that, you know, is fairly popular. I mean, I feel like Sarah is definitely a fairly popular character. So, Lidz, what about you?
Oh, you guys pretty much said a lot about what I actually enjoyed about the game. I love that they're trying new different things for the global side of the game. They're freaking listening, you know, just to keep us on our toes, so to say, especially because they know we're planning stuff out, right? So just throwing global first, like I love all our global first characters. Beatrix, Aranea, freaking Vivi with his LD, freaking Core. And I hope that they do continue this trend going forward. As you guys mentioned, Sarah with her LD, because on the JP side of the game, like, that was just a bad banner, and I'm pretty damn sure so many global players were planning to skip on that banner, but Sarah ended up being really, really good. And, you know, Vincent, global first LD. So just some of these changes that they're trying to do on the global side of the game, probably maybe the notification for co-ops, that's going to be a huge enjoyment, especially, you know, working from home, paying attention to my computer, forgetting about my co-ops and my co-op partners spamming the Emperor sticker at me. Yeah, that's going to be extremely useful. Now,
but actually, speaking about, like, before we move on, like, speaking about Sarah, like how they treated Sarah, I wish they actually would do that more. Like, you know, if they wanted more people to pull on the X-Death banner, they could have, you know, done it to Deuce, or they could have done it to Barrett, you know, instead of, like, you know, what they did with APMHAU. You know, it's like a GL first thing that helps them and helps they get us to pull more, and we also get excited about it. I wish they would do more of those kind of things, you know, rather like buff up some of those kind of sorry characters that we're skipping. You know who we're skipping more or less, so just buff them up.
Wait,
you know, then it'd be like, oh damn. You know?
Wait, who else?
Win-win.
Who else are we skipping though? I think Sarah was probably the hands down a unit that everybody was going to skip going forward. Like, I'm just.
But like Barrett, I would say like Barrett was treated pretty poorly, and obviously Deuce. But Deuce was released with Sarah, but she just came around again. That got replaced, but Barrett was done pretty poorly. I'd say like he would have been a good character. Like he's pretty popular. He would have got a lot of people pulling. I'll tell you that if they did that for Barrett.
Yeah.
Especially after 7 Remake.
Yeah, I pitied his LD. So that being said, I asked my fellow
That should
hosts.
be part of your regrets. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so what did you guys hate about Alpha Omni? I hate that I freaking had to pity Barrett's LD weapon, but no. So my next question to my host is, what did you guys hate that Square Enix did for the global side of the game? Probably, I'm gonna start this one off, is the whole Vincent thing, the global first LD. I don't know why I thought he was gonna get a burst, right? I let my hype get the better of me. I'm like, dude, this guy's about to get a freaking global first, and it was just the LD. He was still useful, all right. That's just me. Rez, what did you hate that Square Enix did for the global side of the game?
Oh God, I don't know. Lidz, you put in here for mine, no unit released yet with a White Claw. I mean that's pretty heinous to me. No, there were like, besides obviously like the Setzer banner, there weren't really any changes that I absolutely hated. Overall, it's been pretty positive. Yes, Halcyon, no swimsuit Tifa. Give us swimsuit Tifa. We will pay so much money for swimsuit Tifa. Give us those seasonal outfits, please. But yeah,
they will give it. They will give it. They better give it for her burst. They better.
Oh my God, they'd fucking better. They'd fucking better.
I would love, yes please, give us, we need that Steiner Speedo, beach costume, Tifa, yes please. Jin, how about yourself, fam? What did you hate?
Yeah, I ranted about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much, otherwise, like those banners were my main issues, and it wasn't the banners themselves, but like the idea behind those banners, like the kind of like the reasoning behind it, just like to suck more resources out of us. But otherwise, I think overall they do a good job with the game, so I don't really have other qualms about it. Like, people hated Vincent, but I was actually one of the people that was like, hey, thank you for Vincent. Yeah. 40, what about you?
I mean, the only thing that really comes to my mind is how they handled the Setzer banner. Really. And I think that's that thought is across like almost everybody in the community. But they're doing a good job, you know, besides that, you know, for the most part. You know, I guess one qualm that I do have, but it's like something they haven't really addressed, is can they please fix the friends list in the co-op? I'm always, can you guys add like a co-op room code, you know?
It must be like really complicated somehow. I don't know why they don't fix it.
I don't know. I mean, other games do it. I mean, I don't want to like say that DFFOO should be like other games, but it'd be nice, you know, because, and also 300 friends I still have an issue with that because a lot of people actually play this game, believe it or not, and having 300 friends at a limit, like mutual follows, like it's pretty small if you think about it. So, but yeah, besides the Setzer fiasco, I think this game is doing great. They listen and they do things right. So, I don't know, Lidz. What are you thinking right now?
I'm thinking that I'm still circling back to Vincent Burst, but no, fam. I'm just thinking
he'll get it. He'll get it soon.
I know. It's fine. I was just really hyped up. You know, Final Fantasy VII. That's my first love into the Final Fantasy world, right? I'm a Final Fantasy VII fanboy. So when Joshua didn't tame the flame, so to say, about the whole hyped up about players theorizing what could be, and I was like, oh shit, freaking Vincent's getting a burst, but I just let it get out of hand. But all right, that aside, friends, we are pretty much near the tail. This is it for the stream. It's time for questions. All right, friends, so if you do have a few questions to ask, please ask away. My fellow host will go ahead and pull that question. But we did pull one earlier that I would like to, you know, possibly for us to answer, because I don't know how my fellow hosts feel about this. Now, what do we think about the difficulty of the game? This was from Kai. I see a lot of people complaining it's too hard and a lot that it is too easy. Rez, how do you feel about this question?
I have like I make sure ahead of time that I'll have the resources to pull for the characters that I'll need to at least be able to clear all these fights. I have no idea what it's going to be like in Lufenia Plus, though. I haven't watched like any videos, but there have been some fights that have been annoying. Like I was doing DE4 the other night, like on a time constraint, and I just like kept getting bad turn RNG or something, and it was annoying. But overall I think it's fine, but I do typically have most of like the good units needed for a Lufenia, or I just ask my fellow hosts in Halcyon, who should I use for a nice easy clear.
I would say that the answer is it's both. It really depends on the player, depends on your roster. So like when people say it's easy, they generally have the best units for those events, and they know how to use those units. When people say it's hard, they probably don't have those units, and they don't know how to play that well. That's what I find is interesting with the game. It's really, you can do a lot of things with it, but if you're struggling to do those things or don't know how to, then it can be pretty difficult. So that's why there's all these resources from other players that they show you how you can beat things and give you advice. So if it's hard for you, then you can go ask for help. And if it's easy for you, please don't go around saying easy game.
Yeah.
But you were saying it's too easy for you, Lidz. So you're one of those people that go around saying easy game, easy life.
Easy game, easy life. Time to uninstall. The game is freaking boring. No, I'm just kidding. So I think this circles, as a global player, this circles back to playing the JP side of the game, to having future foresight. Is that it gets to a point, like especially once things start to pan out, like things, because of having foresight, because of picking up the right units. Things cannot be a challenge. That is even more true. I'm gonna talk about JP now. Even more so during the JP side of the game, because of the Crystal level 90 era. Everyone is freaking OP. Like a lot of content has been on the easier side. Someone mentioned about the 6 co-op team thing that we just received on the JP side. That was actually a challenge, and I actually enjoyed that because it's been a while since I've actually been challenged on the JP side of the game. So it does suck because it makes the game a little bit stale if you are familiar of what's to come. If you're not unfamiliar, you might not experience that. You may struggle and you might experiment a little bit more. But that's how I see that in terms of the difficulty of the game. And I do look forward to the new era, so to say. 40, as a JP player, how do you feel about said difficulties?
Well, like what Jin said, I think it goes both ways. It depends on your roster and it depends on who you use, because if you use all synergy, well, duh, yeah, it's going to be easy because you're using the path of least resistance, quote from Black Nero. So, yeah, it's going to be easy, but you use the path of least resistance. But if you really want to get like down and gritty and a bit on the nerdy side and kind of like really look at the mechanics of these fights, some of them are actually pretty hard. But so I think it works both ways. If you're somebody that likes to get creative and doesn't like using synergy and wants to challenge yourself, then you'll really experience the challenge from these fights. But if you're somebody that just has no time and you're like, I just want the rewards now, I could care less what anybody says, and you're using the synergy, that's perfectly fine. But don't be surprised if you steamroll through it because you use synergy. But if you look at it from an objective standpoint and kind of fight was designed, some of these fights are actually pretty nasty. They are. They really are. So it works for me. I think it works both ways. It really depends on how you approach these harder fights.
I do enjoy the game more personally by going in kind of blind to these fights for the first time, and I kind of like to avoid like the cookie cutter teams, is what, so to speak. So generally there are like obvious units that are amazing for this fight, and I generally try to find another tactic that would work and have fun with it as well. So that's generally how I enjoy the game, and I feel like if you're finding it too easy, then just make it harder for yourself. You don't have to like expect the game to make it harder for you if you have the synergy fights because the point of the game is, if you're struggling, then pull for the synergy units, and then it should be easy. Otherwise, it would be really, really too difficult if it was already hard for the synergy units.
That's why you do the TCC's challenge, where they have strict restrictions about characters that you can bring onto Lufenia content, and possibly even Lufenia Plus. All right, who pulled DFFOO's comment? Could you please?
I did.
Okay, go for it, Rez.
Yeah, DFFOO, you had a great question that I really liked. If you could take back one character recommendation, which one would it be, and who was the biggest sleeper character this year? I chose this question. I don't have an answer for it yet, so I'd love to hear Lidz if you have any thoughts while I formulate my response.
Why'd you have to pick me?
That's a hard.
You looked ready. I mean, does anybody have an answer?
I do.
All right, 40, please take this. I have to think about this.
So a recommendation that I personally made, which I kind of wish that I didn't, was Cloud of Darkness, because a lot of people base Cloud of Darkness on their BT plus effect, and basing it on that is not really, it doesn't really help you, because it's something at the time that Global doesn't have. And a character that I think I slept on, and I'm sure there's some people in chat that agree with me, is Sabin. Because that defense ignore and the 2-turn delay and the enchants, to the 2 different elements and the battery that he does, the man is really good. He's really good, and I think he's definitely a character that was slept on for sure, because he's very, very strong, especially built around as well. Like, he's awesome. So for me, I feel like super hyping Cloud of Darkness, I kind of regret doing that, but a character that was definitely slept on, that I think people, definitely, they're like, oh, I could care less about that, is Sabin. He's awesome. Sabin is awesome.
Yeah,
I do have an answer.
Yeah,
I do have an answer as well for myself. Like, I don't do that many character recommendations, to be honest, because I don't do those like teacher should you pulls. But like, I did mention like when Aranea first released, I do have you can get from my how to play of her that I said that she's like not a must pull, because I didn't realize how hard and how long she would hit for with her debuff. So she lasted, even though she had like very little skill uses, and I thought that she can burn out quick later on in Chaos, but she lasted forever and destroyed content forever. So that was where I was completely wrong, where she was a must pull if you wanted to cheese content really easily. And I think the biggest sleepers are generally, just in general, are debuff attackers. Like, units like Vincent and Kadaj are very slept on, like X-Death, people that like give a strong attack down. I see people in chat that were saying like the Flans and Transcendence were difficult, but I had brought Kadaj and they did like nothing. It's just because debuffs are not hyped on, they're not used as often as they should be, and people don't really see the benefits of it as much. So I just feel in general that sleeper units are just units that bring debuffs, and I think debuffs are very, very useful in the game. What about yourself? You guys, Lidz or Rez, you have answers yet?
I think I'm ready. So I agree 100% with 40 with Sabin, because I didn't give him as much love as I should have during my video. I remember that, because I think like afterwards I was thinking like, oh shit, I really should have valued him a lot more, especially because he has the capabilities to ignore defense. And if I had to think of another one right now, maybe Cypher. I could have given him a lot of love because he is useful and he has longevity. Cypher is a freaking beast. He is a beast with his crystal level 90. He has longevity in that term. So those you know, I'm bouncing off of 40 here with Sabin, and you know, Cypher. He's great.
He's also the debuff unit, is what I'm saying. Like people don't appreciate the debuff units.
Exactly. So he's very useful. He's a delayer. I know a lot of players. I think even me myself. I was like, you know, he has some capabilities, like kind of like Garland, where he can delay the enemies. But Cypher's a beast. All right. How about yourself, Rez?
So I can't think of like a character recommendation that I would take back because I don't recommend characters, but sleeper characters. I think Iroha is one of them. Like I initially like skipped her, and then I ended up pulling for her, which like I was supposed to skip, but I didn't, and I got her, and I have had so much fun with her. I haven't used her in a ton of fights, but she pairs so nicely with a bunch of characters that I use. And then another one, I think he is very widely used in some circles, and in others he's super slept on. Yang, like especially with core, I feel like he just got, you know, even more, he just got even more use. And I am still like, I just used Terra Young and X-Death to clear the X-Death Lufenia. Like, I feel like people saw him as very gimmicky, but like that gimmick fucking works. Yeah, I'm absolutely only saying Yang because I use Terra in like every single one of my fights. So yeah, he's not going to be ideal in other situations, but even when people were talking about Yang, he was like, yeah, even with Terra or whatever, he's not worth pulling on. But yeah, I mean, Eli Dibb says Yang gets slept on a lot with Koron. It's like, why not both? It's so much fun destroying Lufenias with Terra, Core, and Yang. So I think he should get some love too.
I was taken aback by when Red said Yang, because like everyone and their mother like uses Yang now, but I kind of agree that like people probably didn't realize how useful he was when he was released, I'd say. But
yeah,
but nowadays everyone and their mom uses
everyone do. But when he was released,
Young is just everywhere.
Yeah,
I get tired of seeing Young. But yeah, he was not as hyped as he should have been.
Yes.
In terms of how useful he could have been, how useful he is. Yeah.
About that. All right, who did the final boss forms from Blobs? Who copied that one?
Oh, that was in Discord. So with DFFOO slowly adding more iconic final boss forms as story chapter bosses like Safer Sephiroth and the Dark Emperor, which final boss villain would you like to see in DFFOO?
Can I take that one? Just one gorgeous, beautiful word. Weapons. Where the hell is Emerald Weapon?
Yes.
Where the hell is Ruby Weapon? Where are they?
Bring super bosses,
yes,
in general.
That would be an amazing freaking boss in Opera Omnia. 40. What do you think, fam?
I said this on streams that I've done before, but I think it would be really cool if they did like a Lufenia gauntlet against the 4 fiends from Final Fantasy IV, or even the other like bosses that are kind of like in that same category, like for example for Final Fantasy 3, 2, or 1, like those bosses. That would be super sick if they did that. Oh yeah, there we go, Malachi. They don't even have the Tonberry as an enemy. Like what the hell? Where's the Tonberry? Yeah.
That would be cool if they did like themed, like Final Fantasy themed like fights. That would be pretty cool. Like if they had all the weapons in like a Final Fantasy 7 themed, and then just like you said for the Final Fantasy 4, that would be pretty cool if they started making like more themed battles, so to speak. And so there's multiple layered fights to them.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we are. One more question. I'm sorry, I was just reading here. One more question before we end the stream. 40. Did you point? Did you have something to say, fam?
I do see one. I think this was being asked numerous times by several people. So it's from Ramza923, but I did see this question asked. So question for the group: as we have 2 JP experts on the panel, with the last set of LDs being distributed in October for JP, what would you like to see the next weapon tier gacha to be, and what changes to the rates would you like? So I could start off with this. I think I could see them doing like another version of an EX weapon, potentially. I'm not sure how that would change the rates though. I don't really want to speak for that, but I could see something like that, or I could see them doing something like pulling for like maybe like accessories, like getting like an additional slot, like to equip like accessories, and that would influence like the performance of, for example, like a character's 15 CP and 35 CP ability, or maybe influencing something like maybe like their brave attack command or HP attack command, like permanently changing those commands into something else. Because right now, what do we have in game, right? You equip a character with a weapon and an armor. What if they released accessories? And those accessories will have additional effects, like improving, 15 CP, 35 CP, things like that. I think that's where I could see like another, not necessarily a tear, but maybe like a new type of like a thing to pull for in the gacha. That's what I could see happen.
Are you thinking non-character specific?
Yeah, I'm thinking non-character specific actually. Yeah.
That'd be a strange gacha. I would wonder how that would go.
Yeah.
Me too. Before I answer this one, Rez, what's your take on this question as in what in regards to the next weapon gacha tier should introduce into the game? Thoughts about that?
Oh man, it's hard because like I think about, the 35 CP era and all the mistakes that so many of us made during 35 CP era. And with every new gacha tier, there are going to be those like moments of regret. But I think it's what like makes sense because Ultima weapons are not gacha from what I understand. But I think like what 40 was saying, accessories, that would be super cool. I don't know. It's hard for me to it's hard for me to picture something, but I hope that it's not, something crazy with like super low rates or something.
And Jin, how do you feel, fam?
I think the most realistic is they're gonna add another weapon tier. But if they add another weapon tier, then they probably would have to make like EX tokens more available, just like how they made the weapon tokens for 35 and 15 CPs more available, so that even though we have another tier of gacha, we're gonna be able to get the lower tiers much easier, so that you're kind of just aiming for like the LD and the next tier. Or or they make the LD token shop or something. They need to make one tier easier to get, and then that way you can at least just focus on just two weapons more or less. But otherwise, yeah, I just assume they're gonna give another weapon tier, and it might come with an ability or upgrade other abilities. Because I don't think they're gonna give everyone a burst, because that's just the way that the game is kind of structured with the banners. They're just gonna keep the bursts to certain characters, and then they're gonna have everyone get a new tier, just like everyone got LDs.
Yeah.
What about you, Lidz?
So, all right. So first and foremost, when it comes to the gacha rates, if they do happen to introduce a new gacha tier weapon on the JP side of the game, now this is like really future foresight. Now on the JP side of the game, it's like what, 8-9 months ahead in the global timeline. So we are at a point where almost all the characters have LD weapons. Like we're almost there to where we're like, what's going to happen next? And we're just theorizing it's going to be a new gacha weapon. That being said, what they just recently introduced to the JP side of the game in the terms that you can, I don't know if they're going to include 4-star weapons anymore in the gacha. I'm not sure. Let me know if I'm wrong. But you can now buy 4-star equipment with gems on the JP side of the game. So it looks like they're going to be removing those from the gacha. Again, I'm not sure what they're going to do. All right. There's no 100% confirmation until we actually reach that point. When it comes to new tier gachas, though, what I would like to see, and it's something that I really, really, really loved with a character that came out, and I don't know why they haven't tried to experiment it with a little bit more is when a character is in a certain role, how does that affect the team? And I'm talking specifically about Pain. When Pain got her rework, Pain got her LD weapon, depending on where she was on the team comp, in the right slot, the left slot, or the middle slot, that affected either the enemy's damage output, your party's damage output, or a little bit of both worlds. So I would love for them to experiment that with a little bit more. Because I know like in other gacha games, they have like the whole leader role where it improves the entire parties. I don't know, like certain elemental damage like lightning, so to say. But I would love to see them experiment that with a little bit more. So I'm hoping they can do that with the new gacha tier. All right, friends. So that being said, friends, that is it for this stream. Thank you guys for joining us on our 1 year anniversary. If my fellow hosts, if you could please just tell our viewers where they may find you, 40.
You guys can find me on Twitch, Discord, and Twitter for now. I'll make a comeback to YouTube. Just don't know when, but it'll happen.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Twitch, Discord, and wherever Teddy is. Thank you guys for supporting us over this last year.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Main reason I'm still playing is I enjoy the community. I enjoy Fireside here. So big thanks to all of you and my co-hosts.
YouTube for myself and Twitch. That being said, again, guys, thank you so much for the year of support and love. And we are hoping to continue this for at least another year. All right, guys. So again, we appreciate you guys and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care. Have a great night.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.